Akron walks into Bowling Green carrying a strange kind of momentum, the kind that doesn't come from winning, but from refusing to stay dead. The line says Falcons by 3.5. The total sits at 47.5. But this game isn't about the number, it's about what the number refuses to admit. Akron turns again to Ben Finley, a quarterback who throws like he's trying to outrun the past. Last week, he didn't just rack up 400 yards. He bent the entire rhythm of the game around himself. When Finley heats up, the field warps, coverages stretch, mistakes become yardage. But when he cools, everything collapses just as quickly. He is volatility dressed as leadership, a player the market never prices correctly because he refuses to stay inside one identity. You don't predict Ben Finley, you survive him. Bowling Green answers with Drew Pine, steadier, quieter, the opposite shape. Pine doesn't fracture a defense, he erodes it. Short, controlled throws, safe decisions. A pace that feels boring until you realize it's not meant to shock. It's meant to suffocate. He won't win this game with spectacle, but he can win it by never giving it away. And against an Akron defense that leaks through every seam, that kind of quarterback becomes far more dangerous than he looks. And that's the truth of this matchup. Akron's defense breaks in all the places that matter. Third downs, red zone, explosive plays. Bowling Green's defense bends in the only place they can't afford. The goal line together. They create a script neither unit can control. This is Maction, where field position is fragile, momentum is contagious, and mistakes don't stay mistakes. They turn into points. All night, both offenses will be handed short fields they didn't earn and long drives they don't deserve. If you listen closely, you can already hear the rhythm of the scoring. It isn't quiet. It isn't slow. And today's AI pick is over 47.5. Will we cash or will we burn?
Ohio doesn't just host UMass tonight. They host the ghost of a season that never learned how to breathe. The Minutemen arrive at 0-10, dead last in scoring, dead last in yardage, dragging an offense that barely reaches 10 points a game and a defense that surrenders nearly 40. The line sits at 33.5, the total at 51 and a hook. This isn't a question of who wins. It's a question of how long UMass can delay the inevitable. UMass doesn't lean on one quarterback. They split the burden between two. A.J. Hairston has thrown for just under 1,000 yards with as many interceptions as touchdowns. Brandon Rose adds a few hundred more yards and more turnovers. Two arms, no identity. The ball leaves their hands under constant duress, behind a line that can't hold and a run game that never truly arrives. 6 rushing touchdowns, 4 through the air. An offense stitched together from hesitation and broken drives. Every snap feels like a coin flip between a short gain and a stalled possession. The pale hand sees the pattern. This isn't a unit trying to win. It's a unit trying not to drown. Ohio answers with something UMass doesn't have: structure. Quarterback Parker Navarro has crossed the 2,000-yard mark, but the Bobcats' heartbeat is on the ground. C. Bangura sits on the edge of another 1,000-yard season. Over 5 yards a carry, 11 rushing scores, and a workload that grows as the game tilts their way. When they want balance, they turn to Chase Hendricks, who has turned this offense into his personal orbit with big plays downfield. Navarro doesn't need to force anything. He just rides the gravity his weapons create. And that's where the game breaks open. UMass allows over 200 rushing yards a night. They allow nearly 40 points. Ohio averages more than 200 yards on the ground alone and over 400 total. On a cold, damp night in Athens, with max stakes still alive for the Bobcats, this doesn't profile as a contest. It profiles as a controlled avalanche. Ohio will run the ball until UMass breaks, then keep running until the scoreboard catches up to the reality on the field. And today's AI pick is Ohio minus 33.5. Will we cash or will we burn? On to Game 3.
Western Michigan walks into DeKalb tonight carrying something Northern Illinois can't manufacture anymore: clarity. The Broncos know exactly who they are: a defensive machine, a team that wins by shutting the door and letting opponents exhaust themselves trying to force it open. NIU arrives with hope, noise, and a home crowd, but none of that replaces what their offense has been missing all season. The line sits at 5.5, the total at 38 and a hook. And in a game like this, the total is the only number that matters. Western Michigan turns to a quarterback who doesn't need to light up the sky to win. He only needs to avoid the mistakes that NIU's defense rarely punishes. The Broncos throw for just 145 yards a night, but they don't need more. Their identity is built on patience, on field position, on leaning long enough for the other team to fold. When he does throw, he's efficient enough to keep the sticks moving. But this offense runs through the ground game and the defense. His job is to keep the rhythm slow, to keep the game on script. Northern Illinois counters with an offense caught in its own gravity. 96 passing yards a game, 15 points, almost nothing through the air, everything through the run, and predictable from the first whistle to the last. Their quarterback operates inside tight windows, relying on a rushing attack that can only survive against soft fronts. And Western Michigan isn't soft. They're top 15 in total defense, top 10 in pass defense, and disciplined enough to suffocate a team that refuses to evolve. NIU's quarterback will spend the night handing off, rolling out, checking down, and trying to find air where there is none. And that's the shape of this game. Two teams committed to the run, two defenses built to punish mistakes, a tempo that will feel like it's dragging the night down into the dirt. Drives will stall, clocks will bleed, third downs will break more often than they convert. Western Michigan doesn't need to chase points. They only need to choke NIU's offense long enough for the Huskies to collapse under the weight of their own limitations. It won't be pretty. It won't be fast. It will be controlled, deliberate, and cold. And today's AI pick is under 38.5. Will we cash or will we burn? On to the recap.
Some nights don't whisper their truth. They carve it straight into the dark. Tonight was one of those nights. Game 1, over 47.5. Game 2, Ohio, minus 33.5. Game 3, under 38.5. Like and subscribe. Will we cash or will we burn? Der Mond sieht alles, auch das, was wir zu verbergen versuchen. The moon sees everything, even the things we try to hide.
Faith, diamonds, and sin. That's what the town talks in. Shine too bright and it burns your skin. Faith, diamonds, and sin. One Sunday the head preacher said the jeweler's got something heavy to share.